Thank you for visiting laurelrutledge.com and for downloading your free gift. My goal is to do my part to ensure that other female executives, and in particular female executives of color, do not reach a point in their career where they've lost their mojo and can't get it back. I hope this podcast gives you some insight and some action to find your mojo. So let's begin. At some point, we all make a decision to change jobs or locations or relationship situations, or anything else that's become part of our everyday existence. Some of those decisions are exactly right. We feel it in our gut. It pervades our very spirit. Some of those are horribly wrong. We feel that in our spirit as well. And some are just changed because we know we can't keep doing or being or saying or feeling the same thing one more day. But as we make those changes, why are we making them? For what purpose? Are we just running away from something, or are we moving towards something? That is what I will help you explore in this mini podcast. Let's begin by determining what season you're in. As it's written, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. The rest of the verse goes on to talk about planting and reaping, breaking down and building up, weeping and laughing, etc., etc. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. We all experience those seasons, but for many of us, in particular women, we don't necessarily recognize we're in a particular season. We just know something isn't working. We've been successful, we've had fun, we've learned, but now all of those things seem to be in jeopardy and we have no idea why or what to do. So we either wither on the vine and our fear of failure becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, or we just push through with no real direction, only to look up and wonder where we are and how we got there. I don't want you to find yourself in that rut or trying to talk yourself back from the ledge. Not when you're part of my village. We all go through these seasons, and the goal is to understand which season it is so we can move through it with direction and purpose, or in some cases, sit in it until it passes. So here's some starter questions for you. Has something in your environment changed? People, places, process, etc. Am I doing something that I've never done before? Are there competing agendas I'm trying to juggle? Trying to identify what has changed to make you feel off kilter is the first step to knowing what season you may be in, so you can determine if you're building and you just kind of need to suck it up and it's going to be painful because you're building, or if it's really time to let something go. So here's some examples. You may be in a season of growth or building if you've taken on a new assignment. You're doing something you've never done before. You've started taking courses for a degree or a certification, or you've taken a promotion or a project lead, something that is stretching you beyond your current capacity or your current knowledge or skill set. In contrast, you may be in a season of searching. If you're starting to question everything that's going on, if your current programs or processes or activities really don't seem to fit anymore, if you're feeling unfulfilled and disconnected, you could be in a season of searching. You're searching for something to make it all fit again. You may be in a season of tearing down or mourning. Let's say you're ending a position or leaving an organization. There is such a thing as professional mourning. You may be ending a relationship, whether that's professional or personal, or you may have lost an opportunity. Maybe you lost a client or you didn't get the promotion. Those kind of things where you're tearing down boundaries or you're mourning a loss, that's a specific season too, to be able to sit in and understand what it is and be able to build yourself back up, or allow the period of mourning, the period of acknowledging the loss, so that then you can move forward to the next step. You may be in a season of throwing away or giving up, like spring cleaning. You are clearing out your space physically, mentally, and emotionally. You are making room for new growth and new habits. You're eliminating the old and you're putting in the fresh. Now, please know that here words and context matter. So when I say giving up, it's not necessarily throwing up your hands in defeat. It could be that you are purposefully moving and executing an act of choosing not to do something anymore or not to own something anymore. And finally, you may be in a season of embracing or peace. This is the most amazing season. You go through your days feeling content. You know you're where you're supposed to be. You're excited about the possibilities. and you're no longer second guessing a decision or a process. Generally, you have to move through the other seasons to get to this one. But if you're a time of embracing or a time of peace, relish that, thrive in that, and use that as a great foundation the next time one of the more uncomfortable season comes along. So, now that you have an idea or can think through what your season is, let's talk about what you do next. 1, give yourself a break. You are not incapable, you're not incompetent. You have not actually lost your mojo. It's just on a brief hiatus while you enter a new season. 2, go back to your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What was or is your greater plan, and how does this particular effort play into it? And 3, make purposeful movement through the season you're in. Gain as much as you can from the experience and know that you are on your way to your goal. Now, since we're doing this together and you're listening to me, we're going to do number 1 together. We're going to take a quick mini break. So take a few deep breaths all the way into your belly. Consciously tell yourself it's okay, and you are going to move through this with purpose and treat yourself with care. Seasons are not ongoing. They do have an end. So use this season to get clarity on your purpose, or as a time of replenishment and refreshment. If the most you can do right now is just breathe and sleep, just breathe and sleep. It will not be helpful to push for resolution when you do not have the energy and the focus to do so. You will only add to your frustration. So please be kind to yourself and mindful of your needs. And whatever your needs are in this moment, it's okay. As long as you're moving forward and you are doing just fine. So now that you're calm and focused and in the moment, let's talk about number 2, your why. When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? I think all of us have been asked that question. And as we grew up, we continue to be asked and to ask ourselves this same question, but maybe in different ways. What classes were your favorite? Where were you going to college? What is your major? And now, are you doing an internship? What companies are you interviewing with? Are you going for that promotion? Are you going to go back and go to grad school? And on and on and on. And who you are becomes secondary to what you're going to be or what you're going to do. The answer to why becomes more about what others think or what is supposed to be, rather than what feeds your soul and feeds your purpose. And over time, the real answer to why for you and what we do or how we make decisions changes. Our immediate career or personal or family needs and goals change. Maybe even your soul's purpose changes slightly or takes on a different shape, and that's okay. It is just important to be aware so that as you start to feel disconnected or off kilter, you can always come back to your real why, the answer that speaks to your soul's desire and not the expectations of others. For me, almost immediately upon securing my first job, the churn started. I knew there was something missing. I just could not identify it. And because I'm driven, I just kept driving. Get the CPA. Why? Because you're supposed to. I finally decided not to do that, by the way. Get the MBA. Why? Because that's the thing to do. I did get the MBA. But none of those answers to the question of why got to my deepest why. How do I know that? Because my answers consisted of statements like, because I was supposed to, because it was the right thing to do. Not once was the answer, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be, or because I love this work, or even a simple, because I really want to. The supposed to or the right thing to do answers are not in and of themselves bad answers, but they can become habitual answers that prevent the real evaluation of why. Now, because I was not in my sweet spot and I was driven but without specific direction, I just started saying yes to opportunities that came my way. I was running away. I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew I couldn't keep doing what I was doing without losing my mind. And sometimes because I was bored, sometimes because of a bad supervisor, sometimes because of an organizational culture clash. The last time was because I just needed to go home. In hindsight, I was running through my seasons of searching and tearing down. I wasn't taking the time to figure out my why and to tear down the barriers to the answer. The beauty in this season of searching, and it was a very long season for me, was that in each of the moves I made, I saw glimmers of my purpose. I had flashes of those feelings of complete contentment, being in the zone, those many seasons of planting and reaping and embracing. So for you, when was the last time you finished a task and realized you were totally and completely engrossed in it? You were in the zone, in your sweet spot. It felt so right that you didn't even notice what else was going on or what else you should be doing. When someone asked you a question, you opened your mouth and words and thoughts and ideas came out that you couldn't have planned even if you wanted to, because they were so spot on and so in the moment. Describe that time. Describe the task, the place, the environment. And think of another time and do the same thing. And then think of a third time and do the same thing. Now go back and look at those. Do you see similarities? What's the common thread? That is getting you to your why, or at least part of it. The satisfaction, the deep in your soul feeling of accomplishment that you are using your full talents and fulfilling some calling. Now, this is a great exercise to do on a regular basis when you're feeling disconnected or off kilter. Go back to when you were connected, to when you were in your sweet spot, and understand why. What were the things that connect all of that? What's the common thread? What's the similarity? And how can you get back to those things? Even if what you do only has bits and pieces of that, how can you play into those bits and pieces and make them stronger and a more prominent piece of what you do every day? Now that you have at least an initial handle on your true why, let's talk about number 3, the purposeful movement. You're probably clear on why you're making a change or feeling the need to change. You may even have a forward-looking plan about your next move. And if so, you are on the road to your why. Keep moving, stay focused, and give yourself a chance to breathe and glean everything you can from each experience along the way. If you don't have a plan, here are some things to remember. There is value in staying in a place long enough to know if it is just a seasonal transition or if there is real meat to the disconnect. In other words, take the time to critically evaluate your situation, unemotionally. If you find yourself working harder and harder and seeing no change, or you're constantly trying to will your way through it, it may be time to make a plan. If it isn't right, it just isn't right. And that doesn't mean you are not right or you are not capable. It just means the situation may not be the right one anymore. And eventually, if not addressed, you will face the unintended consequences of fatigue and impatience and irritation. Change takes courage. If you know you need to change but don't know what to change, take a chance and say yes. Say yes to something that moves you closer to your why. Maybe someone's been calling you over the last several months and you always said no, or maybe even it's the last several years. Go back and evaluate what they're asking you to do. Is there something in that they see that you don't, that could get you closer to your why? You may find yourself in roles or in locations that aren't what you ever could have imagined. Some will be right, and some may still be wrong, but the purposeful movement means you are taking control of finding your niche and standing in your why. Instead of just running away, move towards fulfilling your why. The risk of making the change may result in the reward of living your why, fulfilling your purpose, being in your zone. So to recap, life is full of seasons. We move through them regularly, some easier than others, and some more profoundly impactful than others. Determine what season you're in, and if you remain mindful and aware, you can manage the discomfort and take advantage of the benefits of the changes. And how do you do that? 1, give yourself a break. In order to stop running and start moving towards your purpose, you must put yourself at the top of the list. Self-care is not selfish. In fact, self-care is selfless. The healthier and happier you are, the more you have to give to those around you. If you are running on empty, just how much effort do you really have to do your best? Easy question, right? But when we are in the middle of running, we don't remember that. So breathe, relax, and take care of you. 2, find your why. Find the why that makes your inner child smile. That why behind what you wanted to be when you grew up. Say yes to things that move you closer to your goal, even if you're not sure how they fit. Do your best to eliminate the language of supposed to and because it's the thing to do, and replace it with because I love this work, because I want to, or because this makes me happy, and say yes to you. And finally, make purposeful movement. As the saying goes, life is not a sprint, it is a marathon. So keep running, but pace yourself and use your internal compass. Take time to review your path and direction. Be okay with taking a few forks in the road. The view on the path less traveled just may be the one meant for you. And that path may be where you find your mojo. Thank you for listening. There's a supplement attached to this that goes through all of the questions, so you can sit down and go through this exercise on your own. If this has resonated with you and you would like to discuss further, please schedule a discovery call at laurelrutledge.com. And please pass it along to others who you believe may benefit. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I look forward to hearing from you.